Hello there, guys, and today we are going to talk about computer networks. Now, I will just introduce the very basics of the computer networks because, as I said in the checkpoint, the field of computer networks is very vast. And again, I had two college courses dealing with computer networks, and I feel like we barely scratched the surface of the topic of computer networks. So what I will try to do is introduce you to all of the concepts in computer networks we will need to understand the commands that will follow and nothing else, okay? Because it really is a deep topic and I'll just kind of illustrate the picture for you that you need to understand the commands that will follow, but no more than that, okay? And yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say. So, what is important to understand about computer networks? Computer networks are consisted of layers. So for example, if this is your computer, let's write it like this right here. And let's say that this is the startup button, power up button. Basically, your computer is communicating over a computer network if it is connected to a computer network, either with a cable or with a or over wireless, okay? And basically a computer network consists of layers, okay? So let's imagine those are layers. Now, the number of layers actually varies depending on which network, I would say, classification you're looking at. I'm not really sure what's the correct term for this, but basically the number of layers varies. But basically just understand that those are layers, okay? And everything you send over your computer has to go through these layers. Similarly, if we have another computer, this other computer also has these exact same layers, okay? And for illustrative purposes, we're assuming 4 layers, but there can actually be more layers, okay? And so this is, for example, I apologize for this line right here. So this, for example, is computer A, okay? So this is computer A, and this is computer B. Now, what actually happens if you want to send some data from computer A to computer B, your data has to pass through these layers, okay? So data goes from here all the way up to here, travels through the network, okay? So let's kind of denote this traveling with, this kind of like graph-like thing, okay? So it goes, for example, here, then it goes here, then it goes maybe here, then it goes here, then it goes here, and then to get to your destination, it has to travel through all of these layers, but in the reverse, okay? So it has to go through all of these layers, but in the reverse order, okay? And I'll just kind of connect these lines, okay? So we go from computer A, we travel through the nodes of the network. We'll talk about more about them just very soon. And then we come to our destination, okay? And now each layer has a different function and addresses different concerns. There is a layer we are particularly interested in called the network or the internet layer. And let's say that this is the internet layer, okay? So it's not really accurate to actually just call any layer internet layer. But again, I'm not really being formal here, just illustrating basic concepts. So there's a layer which is called the internet layer. And on this layer, each device connected to a network has its own IP address, okay? So each device has its IP, which stands for Internet Protocol Address. This enables network devices to communicate with each other because they can address each other using IP addresses. When sending data over a computer network, that data is most likely chunked into little pieces, because if you're sending a large file, it's actually not being sent in its entirety, but first it is chunked into little pieces. Each one of these little pieces traveling on the computer network is called a packet, okay? So basically, if you have a huge file, and let me just write something like this, okay? So let's say this is our file, it gets chunked into these little pieces, and each one of these little pieces is called a packet, okay? It's called a packet. Now, packets travel through the nodes of the computer network until they reach its destination. And basically those nodes of a computer network are actually routers. Okay, so we call those nodes routers. And as technically your packet can pass through other devices, but routers are actually the devices which route your package. Okay, and basically routers are a piece of network hardware that routes packets to where they should go in order to reach their destination. Okay, so if our packet comes to this router, then this router says, okay, I should send it here. Then this router looks at something internally and then says, okay, based on this thing that I have internally, I should send it here. And then this router says, okay, I should send it here, I should send it here, I should send it here, I should send it here. And then we find our way to the destination. Okay, and I just wanted to also note that there is a difference between IP addresses. You can have what is called a local IP address, and you have a global IP address. Okay, and you can think of it like this. If someone in your house wants to talk to your computer via a computer network, it uses the local IP. Okay, so local IP is used if someone from your house is trying to communicate with your computer. If, on the other hand, someone wants to talk to your computer outside of your house, they have to globally address you. Okay, and this global IP is unique for each device. Now, there's a lot of complexities related to this, but basically think of it, I mean, global IP is unique, but the way in which this unique IP is derived and the relationship between local and global IP is something that's very complicated and involves a lot of networking things. But basically, just understand that your local IP is something that you can use for addressing your computer locally in your own home network, and your global IP is something where you are uniquely identified to the outside world. Okay. And basically, a good analogy for this is when a family member calls your name, you know they are calling you. Okay. However, if you are to receive a letter from the police station and someone uses your name, they will use your full name or even some identification number that is unique to you, so you can be sure that they are addressing you. Okay, so the same way when you're speaking to some computer in a different continent, you have to address them globally, while when you're speaking to some device in your local network, you can use local IP. Okay, and I think we have covered all that we needed conceptually to understand the commands that will follow in the next tutorials. And yeah, again, this is just a very, very rough overview. Okay, and honestly, if I was to teach computer networks, I would have to seriously review, because I think I forgot a lot of these things. And I mean, not everything, and I still have the basic idea as I just demonstrated here, but some of these details I would really have to get to know them better. Okay, I really have to kind of review the topic in depth in order to be able to really kind of explain the little details of what's going on. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it what we need for this course. And again, computer networks could warrant a course in and of itself. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you learned something useful, and I hope you will continue watching the series and see you in the next tutorial. Talk soon.